Another one of those things where we review all of the crashes in a race, this time for the Japanese Grand Prix, which has surprisingly fewer than some of the other ones. Like, all of the other ones have been less than 10, but this one had 14 at the end. Anyway, first up for today is Fernando Alonso in the McLaren. There he is, near the back, and I go down the inside of him. I swerve though. And now I'm just going to skip forwards a bit. I managed to stay constantly ahead of him. Also, now I have to. So this is where he goes out. And so, what happens is, I have a bit of fun with another car bike as it tries to overtake me off the grass, but then I accidentally swerve into him, and he's stuck on the racing bike. So he waits for them, and then suddenly, what happens there is the fact that, what happens is, if we just zoom it backwards, we have Alonso just waiting here, off of the track, so that cars can go past. But these guys do not waver their line, the two Alphas. The Alfa Romeo team just collides with him and smacks him off the track. Which is also the reason that this guy goes out. Which I believe is Guan Yu Zhou. Yes, it is. Like, we just drive along behind him, and then he has his tyre taken off, which is how he goes out. The next crash is for George Russell, and it occurs on lap 4. The other one was on lap 1. And this is when my car is just streaming smoke. Like, it just seems weird. But anyway, he gets ahead of me, and then I get back ahead of him. We come along for a bit, and then as we just cross into lap 5, he gets that. Eventually, I managed to get my revenge on Alonso by knocking out the other driver that managed to kill him in his race, Antonio Giovinazzi. He killed Alonso's race, and so I killed his race, because the other driver, Guan Yu Zhou, was already out. So he's racing along, fine. I'll just zoom us to the crash. Actually, I'll just zoom us to the crash. In the exact same place that he had fallen off last time, which I think is why he crashed into Alonso. He was just a bit further behind. I eventually managed to crash his race. Also, his tyres seem to be weird. Next up on the racing list is Yuki Tsunoda, and his occurs directly after the end of a safety car. A lot of these seem to happen, like, right on the end. I come zooming down because I was far behind. I managed to get there. As the racing had already started, I was allowed to do that. But then, you might be wondering what has just happened, so I'll show you. It came down to me, so if I just zoom us a bit forwards. There we go, I overtake them. As we were all allowed to do it, because first place has already done it. But what happens is, I drift off with him, and then behind him, yep, that happens. So I'll just show you a different angle, and then that different angle is the Gasly, where we have him racing along. He gets stuck, and then as he tries to get going again, he collides with his teammate. Don't think Yuki's going to be very happy about that. Anyway, next up we have Max Verstappen. So if I just clear that away, I'll show you where he crashes. It's near the end of lap 16, but because it leads straight into another crash, I'm just going to zoom us there. But watching the entire race track. And now he's cut up to me. And so I'm just gonna play it from here. Just like in the first one of these we did, and I would never talk. England. When I played Nikita Mazepin, one of the alphas, I think at the time it was Latifi. But anyway, and Mazepin with both these together, back in the first one we did. If you remember that, where Verstappen went out with Paris. Anyway, what happened? I'm just going to play it from behind the car, just so it's easier to see. He's driving along, can't see through the smoke, and then, yeah, like, not very overwhelming, but if I go back to my car, it leads perfectly into the next crash, which happens, I think, on the same lap. Yes, it is. Between Leclerc and Norris. Sainz and Norris. You may be wondering what happened there again? Well, why don't we just do the handy this. So what happens? Driving along, and then suddenly he's engulfed by the wall, then he's hit by Norris. And that's the last crash in the race. But interestingly, Sainz doesn't go out by hitting the wall. He goes out, no, he doesn't go out when Norris hits him or by hitting the first wall, which is kind of strange. He goes out by hitting the second wall, while Norris goes out by hitting him, which is kind of strange. But anyway, that is the last one. So goodbye.